Legendary!
What is up guys, Kris05 here with another video. Today I want to give you a list of 5 decks that did not get hit by the upcoming nerfs and I think will become even stronger after them. Also, if you want to see guides for these decks, subscribe to vidbet.com eSports and I'll upload them there soon. For your convenience, I will drop links to all of the decks I talk about here in the description below. If you still haven't seen what the nerfs are, here you go. A hefty mana increase to Naga Sea Witch from 5 to 8, making it a lot easier to handle in Wild. A slight mana increase for Spiteful Summoner from 6 to 7, which gives your opponent more time to find the answer for a turn 7, 12-12 or 16-16. Dark Pact heals only for 4 now, and that will definitely hurt Warlock's ability to survive versus early pressure. Slight mana increase for Possessed Lackey from 5 to 6, which again hurts its aggro matchups and slows the deck in overall. Call to Arms going from 4 to 5, leaving Even Paladin and going to Odd Paladin. And Rogue Quest now buffs your minions to 4-4 instead of 5-5. If you want to see what my predictions for the nerfs were and how many of them I got right, here's the video. Surprisingly, Blizzard did not include any buffs for the Witchwood cards, and that is a bit disappointing. Like I told you in my last video, if you want to profit from these nerfs, you should buy the packs with the most nerfed cards. As expected, the packs with the most nerfed cards are Kobolds and Catacombs, which include 2 epics, 1 rare and 1 common. If you open them, you will be able to disenchant them for full value when the nerf hits. Please don't mistake this as Hall of Fame cards. You will only get extra dust if you discover the cards from packs and not just for owning them like in Hall of Fame. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's begin. The first deck in my list is Odd Rogue. Odd Rogue is a relatively cheap meta deck and is currently sitting strong at the top of tier 2. It relies on early aggression, pressuring your opponent with your upgraded 2-2 dagger while slapping big threats like Henge Clan Thugs and Vicious Fledgling, with which you can seal the deal early on. One of the deck's strongest aspects is its good win rate versus Q-Block and Control Lock. It has an even match versus Even Paladin and it is at a slight disadvantage versus Spiteful Druid. I believe the nerfs didn't destroy the decks I said above, so Odd Rogue will have even greater win rates versus them and should dominate. The decks to look out for are Taunt Druid and Fatigue Warrior. Those 2 archetypes are a nightmare for this deck, along with Odd Paladin, and will probably rise in popularity. On the other hand, Miracle Rogue should rise in popularity too, and that is a really favorable matchup for Odd Rogue, so I believe the deck will remain strong, if not stronger, in the post-nerf meta. Speaking of Miracle Rogue, I have to say I have my doubts here, but I'll give you my thoughts and let you decide if you want to go the Miracle way. The crowd's favorite Miracle Rogue didn't receive much support from the Witchwood and lost a lot of great cards in the rotation. It is still relevant due to the somewhat slower meta at the moment. If the meta goes even slower after the nerf, the deck should rise in popularity. After Warlocks and Paladins take the hit, the meta will shake up, but time will tell in which direction. Miracle Rogue has bad matchups versus all Paladins, and with them out of the way, it should clear the way for it. Warlocks are favorable matches for it, but so is Taunt Druid, and with it rising in popularity, Miracle Rogue should find its place among the top tier 2 decks. Now let's look at Taunt Druid, also known as the Great Wall of China. This taunt heavy deck rose in popularity due to the many aggro decks that emerge in the early meta. The fact that it is so heavily reliant on a single card, namely Hardronox, gives it a lot of trouble and faster decks can make easy prey of it. It has many weak points that can be exploited by its opponents, but after the nerf, its biggest enemies should become easier to handle and they will also be seen a bit less often as a whole. Both Even and Murloc Paladins punish this deck a lot, along with Quest Rogue and Spiteful Druid. Those are 3 of the 4 classes that are expected to get hammered, whereas Q-Block is an even match for him. Only Control Lock is favorable for Taunt Druid, but I believe that archetype will remain relevant after the nerfs. Odd Fatigue Warrior is excellent prey for this deck, and I expect it to rise in tiers as well. Odd Fatigue Warrior is one of the most expensive decks in the meta right now, going over 13,000 dust. It is filled with a ton of board clears and single target removals, and it is a real nightmare to play against. If you enjoy playing 20-minute games, then this is the deck for you. Its biggest enemies are exactly the to-be-nerfed classes, namely Spiteful Druid, Even Paladin, Cube and Control Lock, and Quest Rogue. With them out of the way, I believe this deck will shine and we might even see a tier 1 warrior deck again. Its best targets are Odd and Miracle Rogues, which we already covered, along with Control Priest. Odd Paladin is another great target that gets smashed by it. And lastly, let's talk about Odd Paladin. This deck really took the early Witchwood meta by surprise and rose to tier 1 in the first weeks. After that, the meta shifted against it with heavy control-oriented decks. This deck is one of the cheapest on the meta right now, and if you're on a budget, you can go ahead and give it a try. It is filled with 1 mana drops and usually finishes the game around turn 8 or earlier, and was an excellent way to climb the ladder in no time. The biggest threats to this deck are Warlocks, and with the announced nerfs to them, I believe a Paladin might regain its spot in high tier 2 or even low tier 1. As expected, Call to Arms got nerfed to 5 mana, and with a card like that, Out Paladin will have an excellent tool to thin out its deck quickly and slap a few high value 1-drops in the process. Paladin has great matchups versus all of the rogue decks, and surprisingly even versus Taunt Druid, but its biggest weakness is Odd Fatigue Warrior, so it all depends on which decks will rise in popularity the most. If you want to check my Odd Paladin guide, you can go ahead and do that over at vipbet.com eSports, and if you want to see the deck in action, you can check my gameplay video here. So that's about it, guys. I hope this video helped you better understand what you could expect in the future meta. I'm sure some of you will disagree with me on this one, and will probably be right. After all, the meta forming process is very complicated, and I might have missed some important aspects, but make sure to let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video.